Okay, let's get into the juice now. Obviously, within the last hour, Benn has basically given up his British Boxing Board of Control licence, which means obviously he cannot fight in Britain unless it's with a different board. Just straight reaction. What do you think of that?
That's the first I've heard of it. I have no idea what to even make of that. I'd need, to be honest, I would need some time to process it before I said anything. My initial reaction with a lot of this stuff is it's not an emotional reaction. It will be professional, legal, and what that means, I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he's been advised that's what he needs to do at this stage or another. But yeah, you know, it's one of them things. He swears, pleads innocence, and if it's just about someone's character, you want to believe him. You know, he's never displayed anything of this sort in his life. He's never been that person. That said, adverse finding means something. So you have to leave. For me, as a fighter, as an ex-fighter, I would never. We wouldn't even really want to comment on it because he could be having the worst of times, and then you know it's like yeah.
No, I completely agree. What would you have done then? Because I do actually appreciate you haven't had a lot of time to kind of assess what's actually happening. But in this situation, so the hearing was on the day he gave up his license in the morning of the hearing, which obviously he could have got a ban in the hearing. But what would you have done knowing the hearing was that day? Do you think it was the right kind of decision?
I'm assuming he's been advised that's the best thing to do. Let's be honest. Like, he's at that stage where if they're gonna slap him with something, they're gonna make an example of him, rightly or wrongly. But he's so high profile, they're gonna make an example of him. Unfortunately for him, he's just at that point where his profile is sky high, but in terms of the value, it's not necessarily there banked. He's not a pay-per-view star who's been producing for 5-10 years. Who they might, there's guaranteed money that's going to be lost. It's business at the end of the day. So these, people take this seriously. It's if you've had an adverse finding, and it depends on what it is. If it's true, if it's not, how it could have happened, and then it's a blood sport. It's a dangerous sport. So there's no room for that. There's no forgiveness for cheats. And that's not me saying Conor Benn is a cheat. That's just me saying in general, there's no room for cheats. If you've been caught cheating through doping, through taking a banned substance knowingly to give you an advantage, lifetime ban, 100%, gone, finished, forgotten about. Love it. I love fighters to be stripped of their previous accolades, because that's maybe the only way to make sure this never happens. But there's rules can be bent, so it's never quite as black and white as what right or wrong, guilty or innocent. So I don't know enough about the situation, so I'll never comment properly on this. But hopefully it gets fixed.
Well, Conor Benn is a cheat, will not be the title. You don't have to worry about that. I want to speak to you about, you just mentioned he wasn't a pay-per-view star yet. I remember having a conversation maybe 8 months ago. If he was to fight Eubank Jr., he would then turn into a pay-per-view star. Now that hasn't happened, do you believe it's still possible in the future with this in mind and obviously all the bad publicity? Do you still think there's room for him to become a pay-per-view star in this country?
I don't know. He's I haven't had ever had a close relationship with Conor, but he's always been nice to me before he'd even turned professional. Obviously a fan of his dad's, and then found out Conor. We've passed advice to each other over the years, and then so. For him to be a true pay-per-view star, he's going to have to be the best welterweights in the world. Don't know if he would ever be able to be capable of that. If he did that, then yes. If he's going to fight and beat Crawford or Spence or the next wave of the top fighters in the world that come through at his weight, then yeah, maybe. But he won't get it off of just boxing, an exhibition type sort of catchweight fight with another big name who would be Eubank Jr. I don't think he would have beat Jr. I think natural size would have played such a big part on the night, so I don't think he would have got that win. And then to then continue to be a pay-per-view fighter, he'd have to fight the best guys and ultimately beat them. So it would have been tough for him.